Hey guys, I'm Nicole Newman, and today I am going to be telling you about one of the 5 mother sauces. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to make a bechamel, and also it's a 2-for-1 video. We're also going to be demonstrating a recipe that uses a derivative of a bechamel, a cheese sauce. We're going to be making mac and cheese. It's everybody's favorite. It's certainly one of mine, and we're just going to have a nice big portion of it for dinner tonight. It's summer here in the Midwest. It's July. But it certainly does not feel like it. It was a dreary day. The temperatures were only maybe in the 70s. It wasn't very hot like July typically is. It's definitely a mac and cheese kind of night. Just looking for some comfort food. Just got off work and I just want to throw this together really quickly. So let's talk about our pasta. I have a pot here. It's a straight-sided pot, and I have a lot of water in here, and I brought this to a very rapid boil. We're about to add our pasta. I've got about 1.5 pounds here between my 2 jars of medium shells. We're going to add that in, but first I want to season it. This is really the only chance that I get to season up my pasta, so I want to give it a good pinch of salt. So I'm going to grab about a 4-finger pinch and go ahead and season it up. I'm going to go ahead and do another one too. That's going to add some good flavor to our pasta. That in, turn it down to about a 7. I still want it to have a pretty good boil. We want to keep that pasta moving around so that way it doesn't stick together at the bottom. So I'm just going to stir it every so often while it's back here behind me. And then I've got my burner up here on to about a medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of butter. This is going to be the start of a roux for our bechamel sauce. Bechamel is thickened with a roux, and the base of it is milk or cream. I have about 1.5 cups of milk and just 1/2 cup of cream. And that's pretty much all there is to the bechamel. It's a very basic sauce. You melt down the butter, add the flour, make your roux, slowly start incorporating the milk. Remember, like we talked about in the velouté sauce video, you don't want to add too much at once, because if you do, it's going to seize and your sauce is going to get kind of lumpy. So you slowly want to add that in to temper your liquid to the temperature of our roux in our hot pan here. So we'll let the butter melt down. I'm going to add in the flour. We'll add our milk. I'm also going to vary this a little bit. I feel like the bechamel is a pretty simple sauce that you can handle this on your own if you just wanted to do a bechamel. Since I'm making it for dinner tonight, we're having mac and cheese. It just all worked together, went hand in hand, that we could make the bechamel and the mac and cheese together. So for the mac and cheese, I'm also going to add in about, I don't know, maybe 2 teaspoons of dry mustard and a little bit of hot sauce. Just kind of gives it a little bit of a kick. It's kind of in the background and just kind of helps build a layer of flavor. Adds a little bit of depth to this mac. Really helps make it good. My butter's melting down nicely. I'm just going to twirl it around here in my pan a little bit. While that's melting down, just give our pasta a stir. I want to keep an eye on that. I'm going to set my timer because I'm going to get a little distracted up here, and I don't want this to get overdone. I am going to finish it off in the oven, so it doesn't need to bake. I want to bake it just a little bit before al dente. Al dente, of course, means resistant to the bite. So when you bite into the pasta, you don't want it to be completely soft. You just want to have a little bit of resistance there. So I want to go just before al dente here, where it seems like it's a little underdone, and then we'll finish it off in the oven. So I've got my timer set for about 7 minutes. It takes about 10 to 12 to cook the pasta. My butter is melted down, so I'm going to add in our flour. Give that a stir to make our roux. We've got a nice blonde roux here. I'm just going to let that cook down for a few minutes to get that starchy flavor out from the flour. In the meantime, let's switch over to mac and cheese. Let's talk about our cheeses here. I have about 8 ounces of Smoked Gouda and 8 ounces of Extra Sharp Cheddar in here. It's just 2 of my favorite cheeses. You can certainly use as many or as little cheeses. You can use different kinds of cheese. Those are just some of our favorites. Works pretty well in this recipe. I'm going to go ahead and start slowly incorporating in my liquid. We're just going to give that a whisk. Kind of let it bubble around the edges. Make sure we get this properly thickened along the way. We want to build this flavor up really nicely. Get a nice, yummy, thick and gooey cheese sauce. So you can see it's a pretty thick sauce right now. We're going to go ahead and keep adding in our liquid. One of my favorite things about mac and cheese is that it really can please anybody. It's so simple to make. It's probably one of the first things that people learn to make. It was one of the first things I learned to make. My grandma used to make a great mac and cheese. I'll have to demonstrate her recipe. It's a little unconventional. Not quite like your traditional mac and cheese that you're probably used to. But I work at a barbecue restaurant. We serve mac and cheese as one of our sides. And during grad season, I mean, it's practically required that you get it on every single graduation order. We're so busy, and I mean, we can't keep up with the amount of mac and cheese that we have going out the door. It's just really so delicious, and it works great for grad parties. It really works great for everyone. We do it a lot on a kids buffet at a wedding, and I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys, a lot of times the adults are over there too, so mac and cheese is just an all-around good winner. It's just comforting and really tastes delicious though, especially this. With this homemade bechamel sauce, it's going to beat store-bought any day. So our pasta is doing pretty good out there. I'm going to go ahead and get some ice water out of the fridge. I will show you how we can stop the cooking process for our pasta. It's probably going to get done a little before our bechamel and our cheese sauce will be done. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab, we'll just use one of these. Doesn't have to be exact. Alright guys, so I've got some ice water. We're going to use that in our pasta to stop the cooking process in just a few moments. It's still got a little bit to go. And our bechamel sauce is really coming along nicely. Now, a pretty good rule of thumb for your ratios. Pretty much you want to have your roux in an equal ratio. 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour. Has the capability of thickening about 2 cups of liquid. So for every tablespoon of roux that you have for the butter and flour to make the roux, will thicken properly to a good consistency about 1 cup of liquid per tablespoon. Add a little more in here. I'm going to turn my heat up just a touch. And while that thickens, I'm going to go ahead into this last little bit, add in my dry mustard to my milk and cream mixture. Just get that whisked around. I don't want it to get lumpy and kind of form like a weird spice dumpling in my hot mixture. That's not good at all. Alright, and then I'm also going to add in our Frank's Red Hot. We'll get that added in there and whisked around. You could also use a sriracha. That's a pretty trendy food right now. You see it a lot on the local pizzeria down the street. It has a sriracha pizza, and lots of recipes are incorporating that. So our bechamel is still thickening up nicely. I'm going to go ahead and add in this little bit. Last touch. And like I said, if I weren't making the mac and cheese tonight, I wouldn't have added the dry mustard and the hot sauce. We would have just kept with the traditional ingredients, the butter, the flour, the milk, and then we're going to grate in just a little bit of fresh nutmeg at the end. Really helps finish off this white sauce. And a bechamel is really such a versatile sauce. You can use it in so many things. You can add some Parmesan, some mozzarella cheese, do it as an Alfredo. Add some chicken, some broccoli, whatever you'd like. Some fresh spinach would be great in that, or some sun-dried tomatoes. Have a nice Italian meal. We like to add pesto, homemade pesto, to our Alfredo sauce. Delicious. Kind of a pesto fan. I think I mentioned something about that in my velouté video. So our bechamel is looking great. I'm going to go ahead and add in our fresh nutmeg. Or our whole nutmeg, I guess, would be a better description of this. I don't want to grate in a lot. I don't want you to taste the sauce and taste nutmeg. Same way that I don't want you to taste the sauce and taste hot sauce or mustard. Just little subtleties that help really give this sauce a lot of depth and kind of keep your palate guessing, what is that? It tastes really good, but I just can't figure it out. I love tricking people like that. So this here is our bechamel sauce. We've got it all incorporated. It's nice, it's thick, it's gonna bubble up a little bit, thicken a touch more. And then we're gonna be ready for our mac and cheese. We're gonna add in our Gouda and our extra sharp cheddar to the bechamel. I'm gonna reserve a little bit because I wanna be able to put it on top of my pans here, so that way it will, it'll get nice and brown and bubbly in the oven. I'm gonna test my pasta. Just grab a piece of it. That's perfect. It's just before the al dente stage, so I know it's not going to get too done in the oven and be mushy. That's not what we want at all. I'll turn my bechamel down for a second. I've turned the water off. I'm also going to add some ice cold water to it. That's just going to help stop the cooking process. I don't want it to hang out there in my water and continue to cook. So my bechamel is bubbling nicely. Just going to turn it down. Slowly start incorporating my cheese. And I'm not going to add all of this. I did shred a little bit more than what I needed, but I already had the food processor out to shred. You know, not something that I use a lot, my food processor, but it does come in handy. And I just whipped this all through. I wasn't going to shred just a little bit, so I'll just stick the extra in the refrigerator, use it for a recipe later in the week. You never have too much cheese. Alright guys, I am back. I have got our bechamel transformed into our delicious cheese sauce. This is so thick and cheesy. It's going to be so yummy. I'm going to go ahead and I've strained my pasta. We added a cup of cold water to it just to stop the cooking process till I could get to straining it. I did not rinse it. It's so important. You do not want to rinse it. It has so much wonderful starch from the pasta water covering this. It's really going to help that sauce stick to it. It's going to help the sauce come together. You can reserve some of your pasta water if you would like to kind of thin the sauce out a little bit if you needed it. I didn't. I want a nice, thick, yummy, cheesy sauce. Didn't think it was necessary. So, got my pot here. I'm going to go ahead and add my pasta in there. And I'm going to add the cheese sauce. I don't like adding the pasta to the cheese sauce because sometimes it might be too much sauce, not enough pasta. I don't know. So I just want to get my pasta in here and add the cheese sauce as I see fit based on the meal. I don't like things that are oversauced. I don't want it to be swimming in sauce. I'm just going to add some in, give it a stir, kind of see where we end up. So right now, you can tell we've got a good coating on there, but it's a little light. I want it to be nice and cheesy. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a little more, but I'm definitely not going to need all of this bechamel. I'm sorry, the cheese sauce, that's what we derived it from, was the bechamel. I'm not going to need all of my cheese sauce. Now this is getting pretty close to my liking. I'm going to add just a touch more, almost there. That's perfect. And I'm going to just get my ramekins ready here. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. And I'm just going to spoon some big ladles of this in. This is our dinner tonight, and it is going to be fantastic. This perfect mac and cheese for dinner kind of weather. Sometimes I just want something that's quick and comforting, and mac and cheese definitely fits that bill. Now, as these cook, some of the sauce is going to get absorbed by the pasta and it's going to thicken. So they look a little dry in here. I'm going to add a little bit more bechamel just over the top before topping them with some of my leftover cheese. It's so yummy. That creamy cheese sauce on there, and just cover my tops with cheese. And go ahead and get these in the oven I'm going to bake them just until the cheese is kind of brown and bubbly on top, maybe about 10 to 12 minutes for that to happen. Have it preheated to 400. And when we come back, it's mac and cheese time. Alright guys, so my mac and cheese was in the oven for about 12 minutes, and then I broiled it on top under low for about 2 minutes. Got a nice, lovely brown golden crust of cheese on top of this. It's going to be so delicious. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a try. That pasta is so perfectly cooked. It's got good flavor, and those shells just have so much sauce kind of tucked inside of them. It's so good. It just kind of oozes out. Delicious. So please let me know how yours turned out. Let me know what recipes and variations you've made to your bechamel sauce. This is our 5 mother sauces bechamel, and look forward to hearing what recipes you've made. Please tag me on social media at #Chef Nicole Newman. Bye.